Have you ever scratched an itchy spot on your arm or your back and thought, it's just dry skin? Maybe you dabbed on some lotion, didn't think much of it, and moved on with your day. But what if I told you, that tiny itch you brushed off could actually be your body trying to warn you about something serious? And I mean serious, as in, something that, if ignored, could turn into a life-threatening condition before you even realize what's happening. You see, for many older adults, the body doesn't always scream when something's wrong. Sometimes, it just whispers. A spot that doesn't heal. A patch that keeps coming back. A place that itches for weeks with no reason at all. And here's the chilling part, by the time that little spot starts looking really bad, it might already be too late. I know that sounds scary. But this isn't about fear, it's about awareness. Because catching something early, especially in seniors, can make all the difference. So, ask yourself this: when was the last time you, or someone you love, really paid attention to their skin? Not just glancing in the mirror, but actually checking for signs? If you're like most people, probably not recently. That's why today's video matters more than ever. Because we're going to talk about the 5 hidden signs that an itchy spot could be more than just a nuisance. We're going to break down the exact clues that far too many people overlook, clues that could be the earliest warning signs of skin cancer in older adults. We're going to explore what to look for, what not to assume, and most importantly, what to do right now if you see any of these signs in yourself or someone you care about. So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what to watch for. And I'll tell you this: what you learn today just might help you catch something early, and save a life. If that's something you believe in, go ahead and comment "I'm watching" below, because early detection really does save lives. And don't forget to subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Guide for more clear, compassionate insights into caring for yourself or your loved ones as the years go on. Alright, let's get into the signs. Let's start with one of the most common, and most ignored, warning signs. A persistently itchy spot that just won't go away. Now, I want you to imagine this with me for a moment. Picture Margaret. She's 72 years old. Still sharp, still independent, still enjoying her little garden out back. One day, she notices a dry patch on her upper arm. It's small, no bigger than a coin, and it itches every now and then. No pain. No redness. Just a little irritation. She figures it's probably the cold winter air. Maybe she forgot to put on lotion. No big deal. But weeks go by. Then months. And that little spot? It's still there. Sometimes it fades. Then it comes back. And it always seems to itch in the same way, at the same time, especially at night. At her next routine checkup, she casually mentions it to her doctor, almost like an afterthought. But thank goodness she did. Because what seemed like a dry patch, turned out to be an early-stage skin cancer. Not the dramatic kind with angry-looking moles or spreading lesions. Just a quiet, persistent itch that never fully healed. And Margaret? She caught it early enough that treatment was simple, and her recovery was smooth. Now here's what most people don't realize: as we age, our skin changes in ways that can mask real warning signs. It becomes thinner, drier, more delicate. We bruise more easily, we scratch without noticing, and we often assume any irritation is just part of getting older. But a spot that itches non-stop for weeks or even months, especially one without a rash, without clear cause, isn't just a random annoyance. It could be the very first sign of basal cell carcinoma or squamous cell carcinoma, two of the most common forms of skin cancer in seniors. And these types of cancers? They don't always look scary at first. They start quiet, subtle, easy to ignore. That's what makes them dangerous. One of the biggest mistakes families make is brushing it off, saying things like, it's just dry skin. You've had that spot for years. It doesn't look like anything serious. But here's the hard truth, not all skin cancers scream for attention. Some whisper. And in seniors, those whispers often get dismissed or lost in all the other little aches and changes of aging. So, here's what you can do, starting today. If you, or someone you love, has an itchy spot that's been lingering for more than 6 weeks, or if it starts to change color, get scaly, crack, or even bleed, don't wait. Don't guess. Don't self-diagnose. Book an appointment, not just with a general doctor, but with a dermatologist. They'll know exactly what to look for. And even if it turns out to be nothing serious, the peace of mind is worth it. Catching it early could mean the difference between a quick treatment and a much more serious situation. And while an itchy patch that won't go away is important to watch, what it becomes over time could reveal even more. Now let's talk about something that might look harmless, but keeps coming back like an unwelcome guest. Scaly or crusty textures that seem to heal, then reappear. I want you to think about John. He's a retired school principal. Spent decades helping children grow, guiding teachers, solving problems big and small. A sharp mind, a warm heart. But like many seniors, John spent a lot of time outdoors over the years, playgrounds, field days, school picnics, not to mention afternoons mowing the lawn or reading on the porch. One day, he noticed a small rough patch on the side of his neck. It was flaky. A bit reddish. Almost like a little sunburn or dry skin. He put some over-the-counter ointment on it, just like most of us would, and it cleared up in a few days. But then, 2 weeks later, it came back. Same spot. Same flaky, rough texture. So, he tried again. A little cream, a little Vaseline, maybe even an old prescription from years ago. It would heal. Then reappear. Over and over again. It wasn't until his daughter took one look at that stubborn patch and said, "Dad, this isn't normal. You need to get it checked," that he finally agreed to see a specialist. The diagnosis? Actinic keratosis. It's a very common condition in older adults. And while it isn't cancer yet, it's a clear warning sign that the skin has been damaged by the sun and could be on its way to developing squamous cell carcinoma, one of the more aggressive types of skin cancer in seniors. Let me explain what's happening here. As we age, especially if we've had years of sun exposure, certain areas of skin, like the face, ears, scalp, forearms, and neck, become more vulnerable. The damage doesn't always show up right away. Sometimes, it waits until our later years to surface. Scaly or crusty spots in these areas often feel rough to the touch, like sandpaper. They might flake off or peel, only to grow right back. And the dangerous part? Many people think they're just dealing with dry skin, sunburn, or even eczema. But that healing and returning cycle? That's your red flag waving in the wind. One of the best things you can do is track the spot over time. Take a clear photo of it each week. Compare them. Is it getting redder? Thicker? Spreading? If you notice it coming back after seeming to go away, or getting worse in any way, don't wait for it to go away for good. Ask your doctor to perform a biopsy. It's a simple test, and it can tell you what's really going on under the surface. Because while creams and ointments can soothe, they can't stop a potentially cancerous change from developing. Only early medical attention can do that. Now, this next sign. It's trickier. Because it doesn't always itch. It doesn't always hurt. And for that reason, far too many people ignore it. Let's take a closer look. A shiny or waxy bump. Meet Clara. She's 80 years old. Fierce crossword lover, faithful to her morning walks, and someone who always took pride in her appearance. One morning while brushing her hair, she noticed something small near her temple. A tiny bump. Smooth, almost pearl-like. Didn't itch. Didn't hurt. It was just there. She figured it might be a new mole. Maybe a skin tag. No big deal. After all, at her age, the skin changes a little every year, doesn't it? But that bump? It stayed. Weeks passed. Then months. It didn't fade. It didn't scab over. It just sat there, quiet, shiny, and persistent. When her grandson pointed it out one afternoon, saying it looked like a drop of wax, Clara finally decided to bring it up at her next checkup. And that's when her doctor took one look and referred her to a dermatologist. What Clara had was basal cell carcinoma. Now here's why this one is so tricky. These kinds of bumps, often small, round, firm, and shiny, blend right into your natural skin tone. They can look pinkish, pearly, or even white. Some look almost clear, like a water droplet resting on your skin. They don't hurt. They don't bleed. And most of the time, they don't draw attention. But under the surface? They can grow deep, right into the surrounding tissue. Basal cell carcinoma is actually the most common type of skin cancer. And thankfully, it's also one of the slowest growing and least likely to spread, if it's caught early. But here's the problem. Because it doesn't scream, most people, especially older adults, ignore it. They mistake it for a pimple that never popped. A scar from an old scratch. Or just another little bump that comes with age. But this isn't a bump you want to overlook. So, here's something simple you can do, right at home, once a month. Run your fingers gently over your skin, especially your face, ears, neck, and shoulders. Feel for anything new. Anything firm and dome-shaped that wasn't there before. If it's shiny, smooth, or looks like a small translucent bead, pay close attention. Keep an eye on it for a couple of weeks. If it stays exactly the same, or starts to grow, even slowly, don't wait. Get it looked at by a dermatologist. It's often those spots that don't itch, don't hurt, and don't cause concern that end up being the most overlooked. And now, let's shift gears. Because this next warning sign doesn't look scary. It doesn't even show up as a bump or a sore. It's more subtle. And most people wouldn't associate it with cancer at all. But for seniors, it can be one of the quietest and most telling signs of a deeper issue. Itching. But with no rash. No bumps. No redness. Now, you might think, if I don't see anything, it's probably nothing, right? But let me tell you about Edward. Edward is 76. A retired truck driver. Tough guy. Quiet type. Loves his nightly cup of tea and the old westerns on TV. For months, he found himself scratching the same spot on his lower back. At first, it was subtle, just an occasional rub. But then it started happening more often, mostly at night. No rash. No bumps. Nothing his wife could see. Just relentless, nagging itch. He blamed it on everything, new laundry soap, dry winter air, even an old back injury. Because that's what most people do, we find a reason that seems harmless. But after enough nagging from his daughter, who insisted he get a skin check, Edward finally gave in. During the exam, the dermatologist found a tiny lesion. Barely noticeable. But under the scope, it revealed the beginning stages of melanoma, one of the most dangerous forms of skin cancer. You see, sometimes the skin speaks before it shows. Here's what happens: certain skin cancers, especially melanoma, can trigger an immune or nerve response long before there's anything visible. That means itching may start before you ever see a bump, spot, or discoloration. And this isn't the kind of itch that spreads or moves around. It's not your typical seasonal dry skin itch. This is persistent, localized, and repetitive. Always in the same area. Especially noticeable at night, or when the body heats up, like after a shower or during sleep. Now here's the dangerous part, most people ignore it because there's no rash. They think, if I don't see anything, it must be in my head. But it's not. Your body sometimes whispers before it shouts. So, what should you do? It's simple. If you have a spot that itches over and over again, and there's nothing to see on the surface, write it down. Note when it happens. How often? How intense? Take a photo of the area anyway, even if there's nothing to see. Then bring it up at your next doctor's visit. Say, this spot itches every night. I know it sounds strange, but it won't go away. Because even when there's no rash, there could be something happening beneath the skin. And when caught early, melanoma can often be treated quickly and effectively. But if ignored, it spreads fast. Now, let's move to the final sign. And this one? This one may not appear on the skin at all, because by the time it shows up, the cancer may already be on the move. An old scar, or a mole that's been there forever. Because here's the thing, when we've had something on our body for decades, we stop paying attention to it. We trust it. We think, it's always been there. It's harmless. But sometimes, that trust can lead us to overlook one of the most dangerous signs of all. Let me tell you about Lucille. Lucille was in her late 70s. Lively, witty, and sharp as a tack. She had this faint scar on her calf from when she fell off her bike at age 9. It was just part of her story. A small reminder of childhood. Something she hadn't thought about in over 60 years. But one morning, while applying lotion, she noticed the skin around the scar looked different. It was darker. Slightly raised. Almost like it had puffed up a bit. There was no pain, no bleeding, nothing dramatic. Just, something looked off. Her instinct said it was probably nothing. Her doctor even said, let's keep an eye on it. But her granddaughter insisted on getting it biopsied, just to be sure. And thank goodness she did. Because that subtle change turned out to be melanoma growing within old scar tissue. Yes. That happens. And more often than you might think. Here's why: scar tissue. And even long-standing moles are areas where the skin has undergone previous trauma or changes. That means there's already increased cellular activity in those regions. Now, in younger people, the body can usually regulate those repairs smoothly. But in older adults, the balance can tip. Skin cells that once healed cleanly can begin to mutate. And cancers like melanoma, squamous cell, or even rarer skin cancers can develop quietly, right inside those old stories on your skin. So, what should you be looking for? If you have an old mole, scar, or skin patch, especially one that's been stable for years, watch for these signs: a change in color, darker, redder, or a mix of shades. A change in shape, edges becoming jagged or less defined. New texture, becoming rough, shiny, or raised. Sudden itching, bleeding, or crusting. And here's the part most people don't realize: even if your doctor says, it looks fine. If you feel like something's different, push for a referral to a dermatologist. Because general checkups don't always include a close skin evaluation. And what seems minor to the eye might mean a world of difference if caught early. So, whether it's a scar from childhood, a mole from your 20s, or a birthmark that's changed in shape, your skin keeps a record. And you've got to keep reading it. Because when cancer grows in those familiar places, it's counting on the fact that you won't look twice. But now you know better. Now, let's step back for a moment. Because recognizing these signs can feel overwhelming, even frightening. But here's the truth: knowing what to look for isn't just about fear, it's about hope. I know. It's not easy to think about cancer. Especially not in someone you love. And especially not when it starts as something so small. A little itch. A bump. A dry patch. It doesn't seem fair, does it? How could something so innocent turn out to be something so serious? And yet, that's often how these things begin. Quiet. Subtle. Almost forgettable. That's what makes them dangerous. But here's the most important part, you're here. You're paying attention. That already sets you apart. It means you're not brushing off the little things. You're not saying, oh, it's probably nothing. You're staying curious. Concerned. Alert. That's not fear. That's love in action. See, awareness doesn't mean you're expecting the worst. It means you're preparing to give your best. It means you're choosing to care, deeply, intentionally, fiercely. Whether you're looking out for a parent, a partner, a friend, or even for yourself, noticing the changes in our bodies is an act of deep compassion. Because it says, I want to be here. I want to protect this life. I want more time, more moments, more memories. And sometimes, that starts with simply not ignoring the itch. So, if you've seen any of the signs we talked about today, even just one, please, don't wait. Call your doctor. Ask for a skin check. And if you're not sure how to bring it up, show them this video. Let the facts speak for you. And then, share this with someone else. A friend. A sibling. A neighbor. You never know who might be quietly wondering if their little spot is worth worrying about. It is. It absolutely is. Because here's the truth, most skin cancers, when caught early, are treatable. Basal cell. Squamous cell. Even melanoma, in its early stages, can often be removed and resolved with very high success. You're not powerless. You're not late. You're not overreacting. You're just prepared. And that is a beautiful thing. It means you have tools now. It means you can show up for your loved ones in ways that truly matter. It means the next time you notice a small change, you'll know when to speak up. So, take a deep breath. You've done something important today. You've learned. You've listened. You've taken a step forward. And the people you love, yourself included, deserve that kind of care. Let's take a moment to gently go over what we've learned today. Just a quick recap, because these signs are easy to forget, but vital to remember. First, that persistent itchy spot that doesn't go away. It might seem minor, but if it's been hanging around for weeks or months, it deserves a closer look. Second, those crusty or scaly patches that clear up, only to return again and again. They often get dismissed, but they could be your skin waving a red flag. Third, the waxy or shiny bump that looks innocent. Almost like a pearl. But if it sticks around, changes, or grows slowly, it could be much more than it appears. Fourth, a strange one, itching with no rash. Just that nagging urge to scratch the same spot, especially at night. No visible changes, but something under the surface might be stirring. And fifth, perhaps the most overlooked, changes around an old scar or mole. Places we think are done healing. But cancer has a way of hiding in places we've stopped watching. These signs might seem small on their own. But together, they paint a picture. And being able to recognize that picture? That's how lives are saved. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you noticed any of these signs in yourself, or maybe in someone you care about? Drop a comment below, even just a simple yes, or share your story if you feel comfortable. I read every comment. And you never know. Your words might help someone else feel seen. Might give someone the nudge they need to book that checkup. Might even save a life. If this video opened your eyes, or helped you feel a little more confident in what to look for, I hope you'll subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Guide. Because here, we believe aging should be filled with grace, dignity, and the wisdom to act early. We're not here to scare you. We're here to prepare you. To walk alongside you as you care for your loved ones, and yourself. So, thank you, truly, for being here. Stay vigilant. Stay kind to yourself. And always remember, aging isn't about decline. It's about showing up with more care, more wisdom, and more love than ever before. I'll see you in the next video.